And it seems like maybe their training camp in the Virgin Islands has paid off.
Well, you know, it's very difficult, especially for a team like them in Detroit, who have gone very deep in the playoffs over the last few years, to really be totally focused. And they're going to have some letdown games, and that's why I laugh at the idea of Detroit winning 70+. I don't think it'd be done, mainly because they're not deep on their bench. Their starters have to play a lot of minutes. But it's just amazing how these teams are able to win and really not give tremendous effort. It kind of grows as the season goes along, and it's only because they're smart players. And
just reward for the defending champs having the camp in the Virgin Islands. St. Thomas, of course, Tim Duncan growing up in St. Croix along with Raja Bell of the Suns. James Jones answering the Manu Ginobili hoop at the other end. Phoenix back up by 1. Ginobili has hit both of his shots, 2 of 3 at the line, has 6 points so far for the Spurs. That is the first bench points for Phoenix here in the opening quarter.
You see why he doesn't take a lot of jumpers. I mean, that ball was turning sideways.
Looks like a Phil Negro knuckler. From the outside, it's James Jones again. And he comes out red hot here in the opening quarter.
You know, and people ask, what about all the changes the Suns have made, where it's been for the better, obviously, now that people see that they're in first place without Amari Stoudemire. But again, you know, the Suns are the only team in the league I know can put 4 guys on the floor off the bench to score 20+ points. And James Jones is looking pretty good so far.
You know, and Eddie, you know the Phoenix Suns went hard after Michael Finley trying to recruit him to come back here to Phoenix. No Finley, no worries, thanks to the play of James Jones and Eddie House.
Well, I think you look at James Jones and Eddie House right now, I think, you know, sometimes things work out for the best. And I love Michael Finley's game, but James Jones and Eddie House give them more than what Finley would have. And you know what? We probably wouldn't have Eddie House if it was not for Finley not signing. And if he was here, he wouldn't be getting many minutes because Finley would be taking it.
And this team is tailor-made to the skills of Eddie House. Here comes Nash, cut off there by the veteran Nick Van Exel, who along with Finley were brought in the offseason. James Jones dialing up another 3 of 3 off the pine for Junior.
That's a shooter. See, a shooter, you know, I hate, you know, people throw labels around loosely and they throw the shooter label around. A shooter is a guy that can come in and knock down 3 or 4 in a row. And until he can do that consistently, he's not a shooter.
Finley from the outside, and then the foul there, Nash grabbing the wrist of Nazir Mohammed. But James Jones, his last 2 games, had 19 against the 76ers in that victory, 16 last night against the Heat.
He's a rhythm player, and he reminds me a lot of myself, as does Eddie House, in that you come off the bench and you start to knock it down, you better continue to get me the basketball because I can run off about 12, 14 points in a quarter. And that's what James Jones and Eddie House will give you.
I think you ran off, what, 23, 24 in a quarter one time?
Oh, you know, with ease, baby.
They go to Tim Duncan, low block against Diao. Head fake off the glass for Tim Duncan.
I would never
traditional move.
But I would never go on fakes with him because, first of all, you're not going to block his shot anyway. So why even go for a head fake? Just put your arms up and just make him shoot over the top.
Duncan has taken only 2 shots so far here in the opening quarter. Hit them both. Boris Diaw not looking for the pass from Nash. Always have to keep your eye on the ball when it's in the hands of Steve Nash. Ginobili slicing in Mohammed over the top of James Jones, who then jerks it away. Inside of 30 seconds to go here in the opening quarter. San Antonio scored the first 8 points.
That's an underrated part, I think, of James Jones' game, is that he does battle on the glass. He's about 6'8.5", and, you know, people think that he's a little bit smaller, but he's a big kid.
His rebounding really picked up on that 5-game road trip for Phoenix. Nash is stripped by, of all people, Nazir Mohammed. Here comes Ginobili, cleared for takeoff.
The long arms of Mohammed got out on the crossover of Steve Nash and knocked it away.
Raja Bell and the Suns still have time. Boris Diaw from the corner misses everything and hits the floor. And the fans over there, along with some of the Suns players, wondering where was the whistle. But we are done with 1. Although we have a conference now, so maybe we're not so done. But we'll take a timeout and we'll be back from U.S. Airways Center right after this. 21-20 Suns so far.